So I think this is an apt description when you kind of find out, oh, you have to be on another social network, now one with pictures. You know, so GIFs. Yeah. It's like, oh, I now need an app to check in when I go to the grocery to take a picture of my receipt, which I will then tweet, which will then upload my Facebook and my Tumblr, right? So it gets a little much, and it's like, at the end of the day, you know, social media is all based on narcissism. That's why we all like it so much, because you're promoting you or me. You know, it's like, hey, look what I did. And that's why it's been adopted. But it gets to a point where you're like, enough's enough. I only want to concentrate on 2 or 3. So I think it'll be helpful here to sort of get you to concentrate on like, okay, maybe Facebook and Twitter are all I need, or maybe if I'm in fashion, Tumblr is more important than LinkedIn. So how do you identify the signal from the noise? So, you know, there's so much noise. How can you identify the signal from that? And I'm getting to a point, I swear. So what brands must do, and I think this is the big takeaway, is you have to act like a publisher, right? So the only way to cut through a clutter, nobody wants to hear your message of, buy me, you know, buy this from me, or do this, because it's like everyone's telling them that. So the only way you cut through the clutter is by adding value to that particular conversation around that topic, right? So whether you're a big brand like Nike or a small, you know, mom and pop business, you have to publish like you're a Condé Nast, like you're a Time magazine, like you're a CNN and HBO. You have to produce content that adds value around that experience. So let's say you have a football camp, right? Rather than just saying, you know, sign up for this football camp because we have 6 ex-NFL players and coaches. It's like publish something around, well, these are the 10 best tips, you know, for a fourth quarter 2-minute drill, right? And publish that through different pipes of the internet. So add value, and then when you add value, you'll become known and separate yourself from the pack. So this is kind of a heady sort of theory of stock and flow. And I might lose it a little bit here, but essentially this is a publishing strategy for a brand. So stock is the durable stuff. It's content you produce that's going to last forever. And flow is the feed. It's like tweets and Facebook posts, right? So there are 2 different types of publishing. You use stock in one aspect to keep like a long essay or a long video on something that you've done. And flow is how you keep a community consistently engaged. So an example of stock is an article like by Bill Simmons on Grantland. Somebody's probably going to come back and read that 2 years from now, right? It will maintain its place within the ecosystem of content for a while. While flow, so the Grantland's Twitter account, is actually just little tweets on little funny things they think might be cool. So Grantland, I don't know if you guys are familiar, was a spin-off site produced by ESPN, focused around pop culture and sports, but as well as more of a sort of like, you know, pop culture, anything that Bill Simmons, a sports guy, was sort of interested in. And so what they'll do is they'll have like, here's a you know, favorite new rap song by Freddie Gibbs, sorry. You know, or here's a funny picture of someone. So the flow is the type of content that you can update constantly to keep your audience engaged with you. But again, just don't tweet and say, hey, I'm getting a coffee, because nobody wants to hear that. You know, so tweet and say, hey, here's a cool picture of, you know, the football camp, you know, the field we secured for next year. We're redoing the field. That keeps an audience engaged. Or like, here's, you know, we're setting up for the off-the-field event, behind-the-scenes type stuff. That brings somebody closer to your brand and feels like they know you. And that sort of voyeurism is really powerful on the internet, right? It's like why on Instagram, which, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, is a photo sharing service that got bought from Facebook for $1 billion after having made no revenue and been around for essentially 9 months. Yeah, so, that's a different story. But a ton of people use it, and it, you know, so if you can, you know, get 150 million people using something in 9 months, it's going to be worth a lot of money. So in closing, I think with social media, you just have to have fun and kill it. And so this is also an indication of how old I'm getting. Like, I used to dress like that 20 years ago, and now it's back in style again. So people are dressing like 80s, but it's ironically. So it's already cycled through a generation. So Anyway, so if there are any questions, more than happy to answer. But thank you.